extremely windy on Treasure Island today, and I'm going to be lucky if I get good footage here. Okay, we're walking away from Rachel's house at 1310 Gateview Avenue. We're following her to school. We're walking with her to school. She's an adult now. She was in elementary school back then. And to walk to school, she walked through this little green area. She walked down, maybe down the sidewalk. I don't know if the sidewalk was there at the time or not. Hold on, I gotta clear something up with Rachel before I talk about that little sand pit over there. Yeah, Rachel and I have been contending about whether that storage yard had brick around it or wood. And now that I'm looking at it, I see it has both. That's definitely a brick wall, and that's definitely a wooden fence. So she talked about this. I wonder, I don't know, but it appears that City View Storage was there back when Rachel was here at the end of the 90s, the 1990s. So that's Avenue B. And that's where 12th Street runs into Avenue B. This little park. This little park is important because when the Navy decommissioned the island, all the military families left. And they opened it up to low-income housing. Back at that time, all the bases that were decommissioned, part of the charge of those bases was to create housing for homeless people. And that's what they did in San Francisco. And those homeless people and low-income people started moving into these military houses in 1997. And in their leases was a clause that said they weren't supposed to dig in the dirt. So that tells you that at least in 1997, they knew there was chemicals and radiation contaminants underneath this soil. Well, look at this little park that Rachel used to walk through. It's got a sand lot in it. It is an attractive nuisance. Any kid who lives in the area would be highly tempted to dig in that dirt. And the leases told people that one of the conditions of their tenancy was that they were not to dig in the dirt. They didn't say why. They didn't say what was down there. People sort of had the idea it was probably toxic, but nothing was described to them. So I take issue with this because there are a lot of little kids living out here. This thing should be covered up with concrete and fenced off, in my humble opinion. Because I know these kids, I like these kids, and at this point their parents know what's going on. And any parent with any wisdom out here now is telling their kids, don't dig in that dirt. But little kids do that stuff. Also, here's something else that's interesting. This wind is really driving me nuts, to tell you the honest truth. It's snatching at my hair. It's always like this at Treasure Island. No, not always. The wind is not always this strong, but it's very often extremely strong. And it's important to video this. Well, first of all, I'll talk about the asbestos you're looking at. Asbestos fibers can give you mesothelioma, lung cancer, asbestosis. You die from it. It's a slow, painful death, which you can't breathe. And there it is, lying on the ground. Back at that time, they built roofing tiles for buildings out of asbestos. It's a good way to keep the rain off. It keeps the house cool, and it's highly dangerous to breathe the tiny little invisible asbestos fibers. And it's just lying here all over the place.